It is absolutely fun to hear people's stories and learn more about people and how they got into IT. I recently had the chance to interview and talk with Pat Gorman about his journey in the world of IT. And along the way, I discovered some amazing things about being an incredible bowler, a really great skateboarder. And I wanted to share that interview with you right now for anybody who's considering getting into the world of IT, doing a career change, or advancing the career. These interviews can give you additional insight and motivation regarding getting it done. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's start off by asking the question, what did you do as a child that you love to do? What makes Pat tick?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Bowling and skating, skateboarding. I bowled and I still bowl today. That's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I bowled 3 times a week. That was my, when my nanny or my grandma when I would come home from school, she would be like, just to get me, because I'm from New York originally. So like, okay, stay out of trouble, put the kid in the bowling alley, give him $10 and let him bowl 10 games, because that's when $1 a game. Yeah, and that's what I love to do, and I skateboarded until I was about 26. So I was 26 from like 10 to 20. So I skated for like about 16 years, and then obviously 25 is not old, but my body felt old from probably all the wear and tear, from all the banging in my back and my knees and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, I need to stop skating as hard as I used to. So that's what I enjoyed doing as a kid.
Wow.
I never liked computers. So.
Okay. So I do want to hear about that transition, but I have a question about skating first. So you still bowl. What's your average for bowling?
Right now, it's a little low. It's like 198. Last season was about 212. So.
Wow. That's amazing.
I'll send you some videos.
I don't think I've ever bowled a game that I got over 180, and that was like lucky one time. So
and what I can do, I have 27 300 games, so I can take a picture of my ring. I'll send it to you so you can like do your fancy editing. Maybe you can just throw it in there and say, yeah, I'm a bowler, I'm a real one.
I definitely will. Will you send it to me? I will include it. Oh my gosh, 27 perfect games.
Yeah, 27.
Wow. I have goosebumps. That is so great. Well, a person who can train themselves with discipline over time to keep practicing to get that good at bowling can do anything. So
yeah, I would agree.
My hat's off to you. Then for skateboarding, I don't know how. I'm not going to ask you online what year you were born, but when I was skateboarding back in the 70s, I used Lonnie Toft. Do you know that name?
Lonnie Toft? No.
That's probably before your time. And like Kryptonix wheels.
Kryptonix wheels, yeah.
Are they still around?
Not anymore. Now like Spitfire. There's a lot of different vendors or companies out there now. Like my board, I just went to a local skate shop, spent $50 on a deck, and just put some venture trucks. And so now, like I haven't skated, literally I haven't gotten my board probably over a year, but I'm sure it's like riding a bike. Obviously I'm not gonna, do kickflip down 10 stairs anymore or do the craziness that I did when I was a kid, but I can still do like tray flips, and I could probably still ollie over garbage cans. I'm sure I can still do that. Maybe I'll do a little clip in front of my house and send it to you.
I would, well, don't hurt yourself. But I would love to see anything you want to send me or want me to include. I can weave in. So if you have you probably have some video of you bowling a strike. Is it somewhere? Is that true?
Yeah, totally. I actually, when I shot 300 last season, and obviously it was crazy because my friend, the team I bowl with, Jim, like his name is Jim, and he filmed it. Obviously, if he told me, hey man, I want to film you, I would have probably, choked. But I think, and obviously, if you're a bowler, you would probably understand this. But if you shoot the first 9, and then the next 3 are simple. For me, like getting the first 9, like like last night, no, what is today? Friday?
Yep.
Tuesday I bowled, and the first 2 games, I was on a roll. I shot the first 6, the first 6 strikes, and then spare 2 open frames. And then I feel like once you don't get that strike, it's like, oh, it's a bummer, So, yeah. So
Wow.
that's my bowling. I can go
Okay,
on a rant.
So I'm fascinated. So I do have a question. How does a person who grows up as a bowler by practicing, and not having any interest in IT now become a networking security expert? How does that? Tell me that journey. Tell me the starting points, how it happened, and how it could possibly happen for other people as well who want to get into IT.
Totally, and it's a funny transition, and I'll try to make it short and sweet. I was big into sneakers, and I still am. I was always into Jordans. I was always into these fancy sneakers. And I used to, like, for example, when you buy a pair of shoes, it's $180. You sit on them, or you wait 1 month and you can sell them for $250. So I used to do that on eBay. And this is when I was about, 18 or 19. And then my PayPal got hacked. I was like, oh man, it was like $900, but it was a lot of money for me. And I was intrigued with that. Obviously, I was studying multimedia because I thought I wanted to be this, filmer on a skateboard. And then I was like, oh, this is definitely intriguing, the IT side. And but I really didn't like the computer, like, okay, let's go repair some machines and let's go troubleshoot. That was never my thing. So then so that was that. And then I was, because I live in Florida now, and so I was talking to a neighbor that had a job at a call center, and I'll leave the call center out of it. But the name of the call center, and they have different kinds of accounts, like Microsoft, Gateway, Hughes.net, a whole bunch of call center, typical call center. Mm-hmm. And my friend said, apply and maybe you can get on the Gateway account. But he's like, that's a little, obviously everyone wants to be on that account because it pays the most. And I was like, dude, I just want to try it. I'll give it a go. And I got lucky, so when I applied, I got on the Gateway account. So that's, got me into the IT field. And I was like, obviously I didn't like it because it's hard to troubleshoot when you just have headphones on and conversing with someone or telling someone, hey, can you do this? And then you get calls like, oh, my cup holder's broke. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean cup holder? Oh, where I hold my... And I'm like, I don't know what you mean. And then I would have to say, give me 1 second. And then, at that point I was shadowing someone. So I'm like, hey, so-and-so, what is that cup holder? I've never seen a computer with a cup. And he said, oh, it's a CD-ROM drive. Some people use it as a cup holder. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. And so getting into the troubleshooting of that, and then I'm like, okay, obviously your cup holder, quote unquote, your CD-ROM drive is broke, so now we have to send a replacement. And then I would have to walk them through unscrewing the back, taking the IDE cables out at that time, to, putting everything in, and making sure, your new cup holder is up and running. So that's how I transitioned, and I just started doing the tech support. And obviously, a family member's good friend was like a computer network guy, and I said, so-and-so, can I work with you? And he said, oh, you have to get some certifications. I was like, ooh. And certifications, I didn't really know much about them, so I was like, okay, just which ones would I need? And studying for me, and I'm going to be 100% honest, is not difficult, but it's like my attention span, like if I'm focused on something, back then was more, now I'm more disciplined, obviously, but I'm like, maybe because I didn't comprehend what I was reading or what I was doing, and I'm like, this is not interesting. But obviously to get into where he worked, to get off the phones, I wanted to get off the phones. I didn't like taking phone calls. And then I got my A+, my Network Plus, and my Security Plus at that time. He goes, awesome. Now you can, come in for an interview and you could be a field engineer or a field tech. I said, okay, cool deal. This is awesome. So, new computers will come in, we'll format them, we'll reinstall the 2003 server. And back then, everything was work group related. And we used Red Hat servers for our EMR application that resided on that. So I would go out and set them up and install like a little switch and, just peer-to-peer networks, nothing too crazy. And then the family members, the friend of the family said, hey Pat, let's do an MCSE. I was like, all right. He goes, it's 7 exams. I was like, whoa, dude, I just passed like 4 exams and probably it was like a year and a half. Took me probably, and maybe a little less. And I'm like, 7 exams, dude, I'm examed out. Give me some time, you know what I mean? I don't want to do it. And I started reading up on it. I'm like, whoa, these are hard exams. Like, even till today, I think even the MCITP and the new MCSEs are easier than the 2003 track, for me at least.
I've been there. That was back with, not Windows NT, that's after Windows
XP.
NT.
It was XP.
The server operating system. So
it was 2003.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
so I got my MCSE back when NT was on the street.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was hard back then too. But that predates that a little bit. Keep going. You're doing great.
Yeah. So that was that, and then obviously I did start doing the MCSE. It took me a very long time, probably longer than I expected. I probably did an exam. I got the MCSA, Microsoft Certified Systems Administrator. Mm-hmm. But those 2 extra exams, because it's 5 for the SA, and then ME or SE was 2 more. And just to get those 2 more, I failed one time. I think it was I don't remember the exam numbers. It's been so long ago. But I failed the first one or the 6th one, and then I'm like, hey, I almost said his name, but I'm like, hey, so-and-so, like, this is too difficult. I'll stick with the, MCSA. I'm good. And then I waited about 4 or 5 months because it was very stressful. That one exam, and then I finally passed that one, and I'm like, man, I got one more. I just want to get that E behind the the letters, and then I did that it took me probably 2.5 months, if I remember correctly, probably around there. So a total of probably 2 years to complete or almost 2 years to complete the whole MCSE track. And that was that. And then obviously just kept on going from there. And then I got laid off there. And at one point they had a program. I'm not sure if they had it where you are, but in my city, in my state, or not the borough, the county where I'm at, they had like a program. Okay, if you're unemployed, if you make X amount of dollars or under, you qualify for a grant. So I'm like, okay, this, I'll do it because I wasn't working, and I wanted to do the MCITP track for enterprise admin. And so I got the track approved for MCITP, Enterprise Admin 2008, and then CCNA. Those two classes came with that track, and that's how I continue that, and that's how the Cisco world came in a little bit, and I was always scared of that side. Like that side, command lines always freaked me out. Excuse me. So I always stuck with the Microsoft until obviously it transitioned to the networking, and then I started doing like the security stuff. I didn't really want to do too much networking like hardcore into the net. I really wanted to do pen testing, do ethical hacking. That always intrigued me. So obviously, how can you hack an AD, or how can you do that when you don't understand how AD works? Mm-hmm. So that's really why I wanted to get the real fundamentals and understanding of the Windows side, and that's when I transitioned to the security stuff. And so that's that.
That is amazing. I do have a question for the MCSC track that you were on. Mm-hmm. How did you keep what tips did you use to keep the motivation over all that time about continuing to study, not giving up? What kept you going?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what really kept me going was I figured, okay, I did 5 exams without, thank God I didn't fail any of those, because I think if I would have failed one of those, I would have said, screw this, take a hike, MCSE, and speaking to God honest truth. But I think the person that, the friend of the family was like, dude, you can do it, just keep going. So thank God for him. He really pushed me, and he goes, okay, I talked to the boss, if you get, the MCSE, they're going to give you $7,000 extra a year. I'm like, whoa. And when I was making, and I was like, $7,000, I was like, all right, so to answer your question, the pay. I'm like, okay, if I want to get a couple extra bucks, I want to do it. And then, and that's what really, really pushed me to get the SE.
Awesome. So you had a close friend who was encouraging and supporting and helping you along the way.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot, like family, friends, to keep keep a circle of people who are rooting for you and helping that you're going to progress. That's awesome. For sure. And now since all that, and since A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and you've gotten into more advanced security, what would you tell somebody who's interested in like ethical hacking or pen testing, and can they just jump into that without the knowledge of the networking and the systems basics, or should they do that first? No. What's your recommendation?
No, most definitely. I think that's the route I was trying to take. I was like, I want to skip this, but how can you run before you walk and crawl? So no, if you want to do ethical hacking or pen testing or vulnerability assessments, how can you assess something when you don't know how something works? So most definitely you would have to get the basic fundamentals of networking, like at least Network Plus, maybe CCNA, if you want to start, pen testing or doing some stuff with like network pen testing. Obviously, if you're a web pen tester, you don't have, you don't really care about, your ASA
network, right?
Yeah, exactly. When all you're gonna do is cross-site scripting and all that kind of stuff that you're gonna do on the website. But I guess to answer your question, it's like a yes and no, because if you want to be it all depends on what track you want to go down in the ethical hacking side. But yes, because if you want to understand the fundamentals and the big picture, most definitely I think you would have to understand how the machines and the networking is working and the operating systems. For example, like internal blue. Like how can you, exploit that or something like that when you don't even know how to operate Windows 10 or which Server 2008 or whatever.
Right.
So most definitely, I think you would have to have the fundamentals of Windows and some networking to at least get into it, and then I guess some Linux too, because that was another one for a challenge for me, because I was so strong or so proficient with the Windows stuff. Linux, I slacked on that. And once I was trying to get into the pen testing and stuff like that, and I'm like, all right, Windows version of this. Windows version, where's my executable? I don't want to extract some tar files and run shell commands. I just want to like double click and see a GUI, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like a strip, I can't even say that word, script kiddie, double click and put the bombs out there.
So what I've discovered, Pat, over time is that every time somebody's picking up something, like whether it's operating systems or networking or how a computer operates or basics like Security Plus, security fundamentals, whatever it is, if they really apply themselves while they're studying, not just to pass the test, but also to really understand it, that all pays dividends later when they need that.
Oh, totally.
And that's the part that I want to convey to everybody. It's like, I know there's certs and they're going for those and those are good benchmarks, but along the way, boy, really learn what they're teaching at that moment, practice it. And if a person doesn't take shortcuts, as you and I know, when they get to more advanced topics, they can accelerate that growth because they have the foundation to build on.
Exactly. And that's something because I'm a big fan, obviously, of CBT Nuggets, probably as you can see, and that's something I'm really enjoying. I even conversed with someone at your facility over there, and the training now, I think Jeremy started the IT expert videos, when it's something actually, instead of so certification driven,
Yep.
you know, it's like, okay, let's learn about, you know, installing, running a
Wire.
cable.
Yep.
You know,
Wiring a building. Yep.
exactly.
Or
Because
wireless communications. So he has some great. We call them our expert levels series. I'm sorry, real world series.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're great because it's not tied to a specific certification. It's tied to, hey, let's get this done, and here's how to do it. And he's great doing it. So I'll pass that along. In fact, I'll include that comment in this video, and he can watch you say it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Any other last tips that you'd like to share with either new people or people who are getting in the field or people who've been in the field? Something that you feel would be
most
valuable
definitely.
for them?
Totally. And you know, I'm a big person on reinforcement, right? Like, so if I'm going to study something, excuse me, I want to lab it up. Like, for example, if we're still on this topic of pen testing, I want to do a pen test lab video, and just Metasploitable too, just download that and then put it into VMware Workstation or VirtualBox or anything like that and then Kali or Parrot or any kind of distro that we're going to be utilizing for the attack vector, right? Like, okay, I want to use Kali to attack Metasploitable, and obviously, put it into a nested network, not obviously start doing this without someone's consent,
right.
But, do it as a lab, and, in a nested network, don't even try to, segment it from your local network too, because you don't want to put a virus on your computer accidentally.
Right. Yeah. Have you played with OWASP, Broken Web Application?
Yeah, a little bit. Not so much. That's something I want to get more into. And same thing with the wireless stuff. I just actually got this guy. I'll show it on here.
Okay.
I love it.
Tell me all about it.
The Alpha wireless adapter to USB. As you can get into promiscuous mode. You can run monitor mode, and you can actually pick up packets if running Airmon or AirPlay, and if you want to listen to obviously, I don't know if we can talk about attacks, but DOS attacks or deauthentication attacks or any kind of things. If you want to set up a little, go get a $10 router from Walmart and just put it. You don't even have to be on the internet, right? You can just throw it in your desk and put it as test SSID, put a WEP, and then make a few SSIDs, WP, WPA, WPA2, and just throw some attacks at it. There's a whole bunch of word lists out there, or you just make your own just to see it in action, right? Like I can, put the password in maybe the 25th line in that attack dictionary or that word list, and you can see, whoa, it can actually do it. And just to see the tool in action is definitely intriguing, and it's like, whoa, this actually works. And so that's why I really needed to get more into that and into the wireless stuff, and I really, I've been playing with that a lot more. So yeah.
That's awesome. That Alpha adapter, by the way, is the exact one I use on my Kali laptop. Yep. I just plug it to my Kali, and then I just have at it. Of course, it's important to disclose, right, Pat, for everybody listening. You already said it. I'm going to reinforce it. You'd never want to do anything against anyone else's network without explicit permission by those in authority to give that permission.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. My goodness. Yeah, even a deauth attack against your neighbors really isn't ethical or legal.
No, exactly. No. And it's funny that you say that, because in my old house, because I just moved to this house, I'll keep it short and sweet, and someone was trying to do that with me. So what I did, I just created an open Wi-Fi, say, okay, come in my house and play, and then you could picture the rest. So, so that's that. And obviously, when you try to do stuff, you want to be ethical. So everything is, everything is all fun and games until you get in trouble, and it's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So everything
But
is-
I love the reinforcement that you talked about labbing things up, practicing with it, because the skills that you practice with, if you're going into a site for penetration testing or some other vulnerability assessment or whatever it is, by having the skills and practicing them, it makes you more valuable for that customer that's paying you to do it. And
Totally.
yeah, well, Pat, I have so enjoyed our conversation today.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for everything you do. And you've been an inspiration in my life.
So a huge shout out for Pat for spending some time with me and doing the interview. I appreciate it. For anybody who's looking at CCNA, Cisco's Certified Network Associate, join me for CCNA Sundays, 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific Time every single week. So I'll see you in those streams. Meanwhile, subscribe, have a great time, and I'll catch you in the next video.